Okay, wait, is Jacob Fatu the tribal chief now? I'm confused. No, really, I'm not, but I am entertained. These are my assorted thoughts on the August 16th, 2024 WWE Smackdown. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and of course, ring that bell for notifications for all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, WWE premium live event reviews, wrestling opinion videos, and of course, assorted thoughts on Raw and SmackDown. I'm recording this the 19th of August, Monday in the morning, so after SmackDown, but before Raw. Good time to do it. So the wedding this weekend. Congrats again, Marie and Chris. Really good wedding. Maybe I lost my voice a little bit, but anyways, this particular SmackDown was at the sold-out Kia Forum in Orlando, Florida, so right next to NXT. So there were a lot of NXT stars and champions in the crowd that we'll see during the show. One thing that was established, though, or reestablished rather earlier on, is the importance of the Ula Fala, that red necklace that Roman Reigns used to wear, that Solo Sikoa now wears, that basically signifies the tribal chief. At the end of the show, Solo comes out with Tama Tonga, and just Tama Tonga. Tonga Loa, the other member of the Guerrillas of Destiny, last week got taken out by Roman Reigns. He already had the eye patch. Anyways, and Jacob Fatu, well, as far as we know, he's still injured from that injury he sustained at SummerSlam and had to wear a walking boot. More on that later. Solo gets right to business, calls out Roman Reigns. Roman comes down to the ring. As always, amazing entrance. Now, as of recently, massive crowd pop from the sold-out crowd. Comes to the ring. There's a bit of a stare down. Solo passes the Ula Fala to Tama Tonga. Roman and Solo get right into it. Superman punch. There's a bit of back and forth, and Tama Tonga does get involved, but ultimately, Roman gets the upper hand. He picks up the Ula Fala, puts it on. There's, of course, a massive positive crowd reaction at this point, but there's also a really tight camera shot on Roman, which signaled to me, someone's coming in. And who did come in? None other than the Samoan werewolf himself, Jacob Fatu. Yes, he's still wearing the walking boot that he was seen publicly wearing after his quote-unquote injury, and he uses it as a weapon to say he kicks Roman with it. Thanks to that, and thanks to the surprise element of it, everyone thinking he was away, Roman thinking he's away, he makes quick work of Roman, the tribal chief, the original tribal chief. Solo and Tama Tonga wake back up, and the three of them shield powerbomb Roman through the announce table and stand over their vanquished opponent. They all throw up their ones, and Solo is now wearing the Ula Fala again, which Jacob Fatu retrieved for him from Roman. Now, they had made a big deal about if Roman wears the Ula Fala, he's now the tribal chief. They have to acknowledge him. I guess it's only if he gets the Ula Fala back and holds it throughout the next attack that's coming and walks out with it, then the next time he's tribal chief. Anyways, that was my joke at the beginning about Jacob Fatu being the tribal chief. But no, ultimately, Jacob Fatu is loyal to Solo. Now, I actually was really hoping that Roman would come out and cut a promo this time. But then, of course, I heard that during the day, his uncle Appa had passed away after his father Sika had passed away like a month ago. So I appreciate the fact that he came to work at all. And he did a great performance here. And I think it actually worked better that he didn't talk this time. He had the victory of getting the Ula Fala back, but then no, he was taken out by Jacob Fatu. I want to say I knew it. I knew that Fatu wasn't really injured, but that wasn't the case. I mean, it seemed too convenient for him to get that injury at that point and be off last week too. So both times he didn't encounter Roman. Well, this time he encountered Roman and he took out arguably one of the two top baby faces in the company, maybe even the top one right now. I don't know where Roman and Cody stand, but if Roman's out for a few weeks and comes back, it's going to be a massive pop. I'm wondering if they're going to go right into Roman versus Jacob Fatu, or maybe Roman versus Solo first, and like maybe Hell in the Cell, something like that. I know ultimately they're heading to War Games, and this was exciting. This was dramatic. This was, as the quote unquote kids say, cinema. And this was a very good way to cap off SmackDown. And I'm just waiting for Roman's next return, which might be in a few weeks, where he actually starts off the show instead of ending it and says, "Acknowledge me." And everyone does. Maybe with Paul Heyman at his side. The show, of course, kicked off with the championship celebration of WWE Women's Champion and Queen Nia Jax. Tiffany Stratton made the announcement, and Queen Nia was carried out on a throne, looking very sharp, very good, completely different look for this character. I think it's great. Very reminiscent of Macho King Randy Savage and Sensational Queen Sherry being carried out on their thrones, except those times the people were actually carrying them. You could see the sweat, but this time she was just being basically rolled out by these guys. Still great effect. In the ring, Tiffany and Pretty Deadly bowed to Queen Nia. Nia said that it was a little too pink for her liking, but she appreciated what Tiffany had done, but she was more about destruction. And she ordered Tiffany to bow to her, to be the first one to bow, and Tiffany said she would. But first, they had to have a bit of a performance from Pretty Deadly, the musical. I won't go word for word, but it was to the effect of, "We've bowed to queens before, but none of them were as pretty as you, Queen Nia," something like that. Then Michin came in with a kendo stick, took out Nia, and then wailed on Pretty Deadly. Later in the night, after an interaction with Chelsea Green, Nia Jax attacked Michin after finding out Michin had a championship match with her at Bash at Berlin, and Nick Aldis made Nia stop. First, I'll address the bigger angle here. Okay, they're setting up a match, Michin and Nia. They had kind of been setting that up before, so it didn't come out of nowhere. I kind of thought they were going to go with Bayley. I knew someone was going to interrupt this. I thought it was going to be Bayley, but it's Michin or Mia. Great. That works for me. The bit backstage with Chelsea was really funny. But as far as the actual ceremony in general, and Nia not exactly liking it and ordering Tiffany Stratton to bow, that could be continuing to set up a bit of tension between Nia and Tiffany, which might explode at some point. No time soon, of course. Did I like it? Yeah, I was hoping for this. I was hoping for this when Nia won Queen of the Ring before she was champion and before Tiffany was Miss Money in the Bank. I thought it would have maybe set up their relationship a bit sooner. And I kind of wanted there to be more pomp and circumstance. And but doing it this way is interesting. I thought for a second maybe all the pomp and circumstance was to distract Nia, and then Pretty Deadly were going to help Tiffany cash in. That could have been interesting. That didn't happen. I'm glad for the way it transpired. I know a lot of people online thought this was really silly, but you know what? There's a silly portion to WWE that I like, and I think we've been missing a little bit. We get a bit on Raw with R-Truth, but no, I'm glad we had this over the top thing. I hope they, not on SmackDown, but I hope maybe they release a YouTube video or something like that of Pretty Deadly the musical. I think that could be funny. Just don't spend an entire part of a show on it. The little bit we got here was great. Some good character work. I kind of wish Nia had been a bit more into it, just accepting her new role, but it makes sense for her character, so it's still some of the old character. I think this was a really fun way to start off SmackDown, although I wish we had got this a bit sooner. The other major story picked up with a hilarious backstage segment where Kevin Owens interrupted Grayson Waller. You could kind of call this how KO got his groove back after last week saying he didn't deserve the match against Cody for the championship. He didn't deserve a title shot. It was really great. Grayson Waller was talking to Austin Theory, basically trash talking Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens comes up behind him, kind of trash talks himself sarcastically, and reminds us all why we love Kevin Owens so much. They, of course, this was hyping up the match that was about to happen. Kevin Owens pretty much demolished Grayson Waller. At one point, Waller did hit a DDT on KO outside the ring, knocking him out for a bit. This led to my favorite part of the match, where Waller sat down just beyond ringside, and KO came up behind him, kind of like how Damian Priest came up behind Liv Morgan and Dominic on Raw. It was funny. KO got the victory and then continued to punish Theory and Waller a bit. They both ganged up on him, and Cody Rhodes had to come in for the save with a chair. This led to a bit of a tense moment where KO picked up Cody's championship belt, held it for a moment, tension rose, and then he gives it back to Cody and walks out. The match was about KO getting his groove back, but this bit after the match was possibly signaling a heel turn. I don't think we're going to get a KO heel turn, although there aren't that many big-time heels on SmackDown anymore aside from the Bloodline. But still, He did attack Theory and Waller after the match, which is not a very gracious babyface thing to do. Cody comes in for the save, and he was holding off on the belt, like sort of not sure, not giving the big hug to Cody. I think they're going to tease it. I don't think it's going to turn into an actual heel turn. I think Cody is ultimately going to win the match. It might end up leading to an Orton heel turn when Orton wonders why Cody didn't give him the match the same way he had given it to Kevin Owens. Who knows? Still, I like the fact that they're actually putting some stakes on this match. They're building KO because you have to ultimately think that Cody might lose or that KO might turn heel. So otherwise, it's just basically like a good match on a PLE. I mean, these are both top talents, but still, if there's no real good story behind it, if it's just a friend giving another friend a match, But I think they are putting a story behind it, which is good. Triple H is great with storytelling, and if there was no real story around the Cody story for the match at Bash at Berlin, that would be good. So I'm glad they're giving it one, and I'm glad KO's getting his groove back. It wasn't just storytelling and comedy. There were some great matches. In particular, the number one contenders match for the WWE Tag Team Championships held by Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. It was the Street Profits versus the former champions DIY. This was as back and forth as it gets. It was replete with false finishes and hope spots. After looking like they were going to lose a few times, the Street Profits won. Now, just storyline-wise, I thought the Street Profits had to win this one, and we're going to win this one. Well, didn't have to. I thought they were going to win it because it made more sense them going against the Bloodline rather than a rematch and DIY losing twice. Because, spoiler alert, well, it's not really a spoiler because it hasn't happened yet, but I'm pretty sure the Bloodline are retaining on their first title defense. I'm almost certain of that. Street Profits might win it later in the rematch. Who knows? I also think they're going Bloodline versus former Bloodline, ex-former Bloodline on Raw at some point with both sets of tag titles. But still, I was pretty sure the Street Profits were going to win. But a few times there, it looked like DIY was going to come through. And Angelo Dawkins in particular seemed like, superhuman at some points. And eventually, they did prevail. And this was an excellent match. Seriously, if you're going to watch one match from this show, watch this match. I also quite enjoyed Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade. I mean, at first I thought, what, they're doing this a third time? Yes, the first two were good matches, but the storyline wasn't really there. I think making this third match, though, they now have a story. Andrade won the first two, and it looked like he was going to win this one. He had a lot of chances to win, false finishes, but ultimately, Carmelo finally pulled through and finally beat Andrade. But there was no gentlemanly handshake at the end. In fact, it turned into a bit of a brawl. It's kind of funny doing 3 matches before really heating up a feud. Maybe there won't be another match for a while, but maybe they're going to make us want to see these two again, maybe with some sort of stipulation. At first, I really wasn't interested in this story, and now I'm starting to get interested in it. So again, slow burn Triple H style, but yeah, they're making me interested in Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. Naomi brought the glow for a hometown crowd, but unfortunately she lost to Blair Davenport. Okay, in the previous regime, the hometown hero generally lost almost for fun to mess with the crowd. And things have changed, but that doesn't mean that the hometown hero always has to win. Sometimes people will lose in their hometown, and it made sense for Naomi to lose here, considering they're trying to build this feud, make it part of the larger feud involving Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and the tag champs, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. So it made sense for Blair to win one, and I guess it had to be here. It wasn't the best match in the world. There were some good moves back and forth. Wasn't the best match, but it progresses the story. Of course, LA Knight cut a promo. This followed a video of Santos Escobar Knight's next opponent hosting a rather uncomfortable dinner with the rest of Legado del Fantasma. LA Knight made a joke about that dinner. Basically got the crowd over, mentioned how they're going to be in the nation's capital next week, and his original hometown, even though he's built from Los Angeles, California, is, I believe, Baltimore or near it. So he's kind of the hometown hero there. It was a good promo. He didn't go to the ring, so it was short, sweet, to the point, what was needed. And these were my assorted thoughts on the August 16th, 2024 WWE Smackdown. Do you agree with me? Disagree? Neither agree nor disagree? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Wrestling on X, at Silo Voice Wrestling on Instagram and Facebook, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. Of course, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Coming up this week is that long-anticipated return to wrestling opinion videos on a specific topic. This is a topic I've been thinking about for a while, and it somewhat relates to some of the stuff that happened on this show. So check that out. For Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.